Welcome to the BumbleKast. I'm your host, Ian Flynn, the Bumble King, and joining me as always is the hidden Iron Chef, Kyle Kraus.
That's a bit of a stretch, sir. I'm not so sure I'm any sort of chef at all.
Really?
We'll find out. We'll find out just how good I am at making mac and cheese.
Find out if Kyle can boil water on today's BumbleKast.
I make spaghetti. That's pretty good. It's also really easy.
Yeah, well.
We'll talk about that shortly.
We will, but before that, how are you, sir?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I am busy.
So I've heard. I've heard you write. You are a writer of these books of. They're like funny books. I'm not sure what they're called.
Is it funny haha or kind of funny eh?
I don't know. No one clarified that for me. I just heard you write these books that are supposed to be funny. I don't know. Are they funny?
You'll laugh, you'll cry. Hopefully for the reasons why that I intended, but I won't be too picky.
So long as you're reading them.
Exactly.
Yes.
But right now, in addition to everything that is public on BumbleKing.com, I've got a dark horse project that I'm going to hashtag knowing smile, and a DC project that is also hashtag knowing smile. So nothing I can talk about, and it's a whole lot, and I really need to get it done because, as was recently announced, I'm going to be at WonderCon this March over in Anaheim, California, thanks to the wonderful folks at IDW. We're going to be talking about Sonic. Also seeing if I can get into Fan Expo in Toronto, which is like the week before. So 2 shows back to back, one with a full continent flight. It's going to make me real tired real fast. So I've got to get this stuff done.
That's awesome.
The one project that I'm currently sitting on, I'm on page 11 of 66.
Whoa.
And it's part of the project. So I'm roughly maybe a third of the way through 2/3 of the project. It's...
Oh, boy.
Yeah. But it sure beats the snot out of having no work.
Yes, indeed. And hey, it's comics,
also,
so it's cool.
Gonna have some news about academics pretty soon. As soon as I can put out some other flyers. But if you don't remember, Academic Space Crew is the comic that I'm working on with Adam Bryce Thomas from Sonic, where you'll be able to customize the main character to look and be how you want. Website is in the prototype form. You can find that at academicssc.com or find the link off of BumbleKing.com. And hopefully we will be able to announce something major later in the year, but a little bit of teases hopefully in the next few weeks, if not the next month or so.
Cool. Awesome. I'm glad that project is continuing on.
Yeah, it's too bad the Kickstarter didn't take off, but that was more of a it would help us fund and not a game breaker, deal breaker, game changer.
That's good.
Pick your idioms, Flynn.
That's a good use of Kickstarter. I wish more projects were kind of like that. Like we're already good. We're already okay. We can make this work. It's just we use this to get a little bit of a boost, but more Kickstarters don't do that. A lot of them don't. Which is a shame. That's okay.
What about you? What you got going on?
Well, I personally don't have a whole heck of a lot going on, except we're quickly approaching NGI, Nitro Game Injection, my other show. We're quickly approaching episode number 300 of that.
Oh, wow.
In 2 weeks. from the release of this. I don't know if I'm going to be doing anything super huge for it, but, 300, that's a pretty big milestone.
Yeah.
Also coming up next month in March is going to be the 15th anniversary of the show.
Oh, wow.
So I'm like, well, what do I do the really big thing for? 300 or the 15th anniversary? And I'm thinking, I'm leaning toward the 15th anniversary because I have more time to plan for that.
That's a fair point.
So, but those are some pretty exciting things. So,
yeah, congratulations, man.
Well, thank you. I also read the brand new Legend of Korra graphic novel, Turf Wars Part 2, and I really enjoyed it.
Okay.
So I don't know how much you followed the series, Ian.
I made it through season 1 and was so soured by it that I didn't touch it after that. I've heard mixed reviews from there. Some people who are very forgiving of some stuff, folks who are absolutely not forgiving of anything ever. So I figure there's a middle of the road interpretation, but
let's say season 2 gets pretty rough. Season 2 gets pretty rough, but then manages to kind of pull itself back out about halfway through. Season 3 and 4 are really solid. I really enjoyed them. So I recommend at least kind of going back and trying it again. Just, I don't know if you can just skip season 1, kind of. I mean, you've already watched it. So
yeah, and I've retained, most of the key points, key characters, things that I really, really didn't like and hold a grudge about. But
yeah, I can understand. I can totally understand that. It's not a perfect show. It's definitely not. I would say it takes a while for it to get on the level of its prequel.
Now, before anyone hops into the comments and says, Ian, you're just biased by Last Airbender, I will say right now that Book 3, Fire, was the weakest of, well, arguably the weaker of the seasons. Season 1 is very slow, but it's kind of charming in the way that it builds things up. Season 2 is phenomenal. That's the high point of Airbender.
Well, yeah.
And Season 3 has a lot of neat ideas, but I feel like they kind of squandered their timing and just dropped the ball in a few areas.
When you start getting Toph, it seems like both shows immediately get so much better when Toph shows up. I don't know.
Because Toph is great.
It's this really weird thing. It's like in both shows, all of a sudden, hey, Toph is here. Awesome. Okay, Toph is here again. Awesome. Now the show gets immensely better. It's just weird. It's just weird. The villain for season 4 is really good too, but sadly, she's not in the comics. But the comics are pretty interesting. It builds on the relationship between Korra and Asami, which is nice, and also kind of the fallout of it with the other two brothers, Mako and Bolin. So it gets good. It's good. It's well worth the read, I would say. So check them out.
Is it written by the show creators, or
yes.
is it with a different? Okay,
one of them with input from the other, but the one of them is the main writer. I think it's Di Martino is the main writer.
Okay.
Yes, the art is really pretty too. It's not quite the same style as the show, but everything is good enough. Everything is good to where you can tell who is who. It just has a slightly different style because it's the artist's style. So, good stuff.
You know what else is good stuff?
Maybe. What?
Free stuff.
I like free. Free is good.
Let's give stuff away.
Okay.
That's right. It's time for the BumbleRaffle. Every episode,
BumbleRaffle.
You can write in and win yourself a free prize. Our patrons over at patreon.com/BumbleKast are automatically entered into every drawing, but everyone has the same chance. So if you write into BumbleKast@yahoo.com right now and say, put me into the BumbleRaffle for episode 63, you got the same chance as everybody else. We've actually had a fair number of folks who aren't patrons who have won in the past.
Indeed.
All right, so this show's winner is...
Silly String.
Ooh, Silly String.
What's that?
I'm sorry, I see the name. I can't help it.
Okay, that's fine.
It inspires joy within me.
That's fair. Silly String.
Silly String.
It's a good name. It's a good name.
It is. It's just fun. Say it. Silly String.
Silly String.
It makes you happy.
Silly String. Silly String. Silly String. Silly String. Okay, I'm done.
We'll be in touch with you to let you know what your prize is and how you can pick it up.
Yes, indeed. All right, are we ready to move on to our main topic, Ian?
I think it's ready to be served up. Yes, sir.
All righty then. Let's talk about some cooking. Talk about cooking.
Are you much of a cook? Do you enjoy cooking?
Enjoy is a bit of a stretch. I'm not much of a cooking guy. I don't know. It's just I'm bad. I can do it. I can follow directions. It's not hard. Cooking isn't difficult necessarily. There's a certain art to it.
Absolutely.
But if you have a specific recipe, it's not particularly too difficult. But it's just so time consuming, and I don't know. I just don't have time. I'm gone. I'm not even at home for like 13 hours a day. So by the time I get home, it's like, whatever. I know you've gotten pretty good at cooking though.
I've gotten pretty decent. Most of that is from necessity.
Oh, sure.
Keep the budget light and get things done. Honestly, the biggest influence I've had is we started watching a show on Food Network called Chopped, where the premise is the initial 4 chefs are given a basket of ingredients that they all have to incorporate into the meal, and they have 30 minutes to prepare it.
So it's Iron Chef.
Kinda. Just a little... With Iron Chef, you have the singular secret ingredient, and everything has to be based off that. With Chopped, you have a different basket per round, and these baskets have 4 to 5 to 6 different things in them.
Oh, okay.
And sometimes they're fairly straightforward to the point where we're watching episodes, and I'm like, yeah, okay, I think I know what I would make with that. And then there's some episodes where it's like, that's just sadistic. How do you even pronounce that? Is that a fruit? Is it a fungus? Did they have to kill it first? What is it? But, and there's a little bit of, razzle dazzle for the show. They have, what they don't show is that the chefs are given a little bit of time to prep or think about what they're going to do. It's not like an actual hard 30 minutes. But the main competition is that 30-minute mark to cook everything. And when you see these guys preparing, rice or various meats and doing these whole things where it's not just preparing the meal, but plating it in a way that's very pretty to behold and figuring out what they're going to do with all these random ingredients, it kind of changes how you look, or for me at least, it changed how I looked at cooking. Because for me, initially, it was like, okay, these are like the handful of meals that mom taught me that I never did in college, and now I'm on my own. Oh, God, what do I do? And now looking at these guys is like, okay, so I don't have to do it this particular way, or this is a general rule of thumb that speeds things up. Rices generally take this long. Meats are usually done this way. If you want to do that, here's a quick, easy tip on how to preserve a flavor, or this really goes well with this. Sure. Aaliyah has done a lot of coaching because, being from the South, the way we do cuisine is we deep fry it. And if we don't deep fry it, we put butter on it. And sometimes we combine the two, and that's about it.
I was going to say, doesn't the finest cuisine come from the South? Come on.
She does stuff like, seasoning and marinating and...
Overrated.
Flavor profile.
Overrated. Who needs any of that?
I don't know. I've gotten to the point where
I'm joking.
I know.
Yeah, okay, good.
It actually, if I'm in the right mindset, it kind of becomes a game. It's like, okay, I'm on Chopped. Here are my ingredients. Oh, good, they're easy. Our show is coming on in 30 minutes. Let's see if I can get this done on time.
Yeah.
Can I finish cooking before my back gives out? Hurry. And I don't know. I think I've gotten to the point where I can actually cook something that I would actually present to friends or family with pride. You know, invite someone over on purpose to feed them. That kind of cooking.
I just have zero patience when it comes to cooking, man. I don't know. It's weird. I'm just such. I don't know. I don't like to cook. I'm just. I don't know. I would like to cook more, maybe. I don't know if I can make it fun for myself, but I don't know. It's just like, it's just frustrating. After being at work all day, you come home, you're like, oh crap, now I gotta make food? I don't want to make food. I just want the food to come to me. That's all I want. I just want it just shoved into my mouth by someone else. I don't even want to have to do it.
Now, that I understand. You spend the day running errands, you spend all day doing laundry and getting, meeting deadlines, and it's like, now I have to stop and get up and prepare, and then I have to clean up afterwards. No.
Yeah.
Five Guys delivers. Just plug that into the phone.
They do?
Here they do, yes.
Oh, I'm jealous.
Yeah, that's a Pandora's box that I'm trying desperately to shut.
Oh boy.
It's one of those online sites where you put in your order and somebody drives out to pick it up for you. It's not like they actually have a catering service.
Oh, okay.
But yeah, I can have me Five Guys anytime I want without having to put on pants. That's a dangerous thing. But we're not talking about that.
I mean, we could.
Or my burger addiction.
Oh, well, a burger addiction. Come on. Is it possible to be American and be addicted to burgers? No, it's just part of being what you are. I mean, you're Canadian American now, but that's okay. Still have some of that American in you.
That red-blooded American is all the red meat, is what you're saying.
Exactly. And they have
What's
burgers.
his blood type? Sirloin.
And they have burgers in Canada, so it's not like Canada's immune to burgers. Canada likes burgers too.
They do.
Yes.
It's not quite as iconic, I don't think, but
that's fine. It's no poutine, but it'll do in a pinch.
Somewhere out there, I'm sure there's a burger poutine.
Indeed. I hope so. Someone get on that. I do have a spaghetti that I make. It's the main thing of it is that it's really easy and I can walk away for most of the time that it cooks. So that's perfectly fine. I just have to put the ingredients together and then walk away, and then 30 minutes later it's done. That's my favorite part.
When you do spaghetti,
yes,
what do you do with it?
Well, what I do with spaghetti is I take the meat that I'm going to include in the spaghetti, which in this case is usually sausage, because it's usually cheap. That's the kind of the main reason why. But I've also done it with ground turkey, ground beef, all that good stuff. Ground pork. Either one works. Or sausage, because sausage is cheap. And I put it all together, or I cook it, and then I throw in the sauce, the pasta sauce, two jars of that, some water, and the noodles. I break up the noodles and put them all in the same pot together, and then let them cook for 30 minutes all together, and then come back, and it's perfectly good spaghetti.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So it's, we actually have this kind of a slow cooker, but not entirely. It has a slow cooker option, but it can also be used. It also has like an oven option and a stovetop option, which I don't know exactly how that works, but you put it on the.
So it's not like it's just an open pot, but you're kind of like slow cooking it to a degree.
Kind of, yeah. You have a lid. You have a lid on it that lets steam out, so the water condenses and gets out of there, and you're left with delicious spaghetti that's nice and tender and has delicious meats in it. Tastes really good, and the effort to make it was minimal, so I'm good.
Yeah, yours is much simpler. The way we usually do it around here is I'll brown the hamburger extra lean.
Well, yeah,
and still drain off the juices.
Got to brown the meat first.
Yeah. And then we'll add the can of pasta sauce, and then I'll season it with a little bit of onion powder, a little bit of garlic powder, a little sprinkle of basil to give it a nice little basic zing. Aaliyah likes it when we put in some Parmesan to give it a little extra body. Let that simmer for a bit, and then we do the pasta in a separate pot. Boil that down till it reaches the perfect squishy texture. I don't remember what the actual Italian term is. Drain that and then combine.
Right. That used to be the way I did it. And then we got this fancy cooker with a recipe in it of how to make it all in one in one shot. And I'm like, well, heck, I'm down.
And then you'll have one pot to clean.
Exactly. Because you can also use that same pot in stovetop mode to brown the meat. So you don't even have to use a pan to brown it. So hey, efficiency is good. I like efficiency when it comes to cooking.
Oh, absolutely. We've got a really fancy pressure cooker that I'm not utilizing to its full potential. I recognize that, but it's one of those, okay, I'm tired. Chicken teriyaki. Throw the chicken in there. Throw in the teriyaki sauce and a cup of water. Close the lid. 5 minutes. Boop, chicken. Done. Yay.
Awesome. I like it.
And it's beautiful, too, because if you forget to take it out to thaw, it doesn't matter. Rock hard frozen, perfectly thawed, anywhere in between, toss it in, boom, done, chicken.
Indeed. That's why I like fried, too. We don't have a fryer or anything, a deep fryer. But, I mean, you can throw frozen stuff in there, and a few minutes later, it comes out, and it's nice and cooked.
Really? I thought putting frozen stuff in a fryer runs the risk of it exploding.
Well, if it's not a full turkey, I think you're okay. Because when I worked at Safeway, where I'm going personal here, oh no, we would throw frozen corn dogs and frozen chicken tenders into the fryer all the time, and it wasn't really a problem. So that's small stuff. On the small scale, I think is fine. It's just if you're putting a whole turkey in there, then you got a problem.
You have an oil fryer, or is it an air fryer?
It was an oil fryer.
Okay.
Yeah, indeed.
I've been debating for a while whether or not to pick up an air fryer since that uses so much less oil.
Yeah.
But then it opens up the opportunities to fried food all the time. That's probably not the best idea.
Yeah, that's why we don't have one. Also, because we have nowhere to put it, and yeah, space is an issue. So just make do with what you have. I guess.
I figured that since this was the topic of the day and maybe get a little more interactive with our listeners, that I'd offer an old family recipe on today's BumbleKast for anyone who's interested.
Do it.
So grab yourself a pen and paper, and I'm going to teach you the Flynn chicken casserole recipe.
All right.
First thing you're going to do is you're going to get yourself a nice big baking pan. Not too deep. I guess you call it a casserole dish. I don't know. I don't know the exact specifications, and, part of the old family tradition is eyeball it, so I'm sure it'll come out fine. Get yourself some boneless chicken breasts, clean them up. Get yourself a cup of white long grain rice, because this goes a long way. Now, if you're feeding a bunch of folks, maybe go up to 2 cups, but trust me when I say, with a man of my appetite, this goes a long way with just the 1 cup of rice. You're also going to get yourself a can of cream of chicken and a can of chicken broth. Make your own at home if you so desire, if you prefer it a little more fresh than out of the can. And what you're going to do is you're going to preheat your oven to 400 degrees. You're going to lay your chicken in. You're going to cover it with the rice. You're going to put the whole can of cream of chicken, the whole can of chicken stock, and about 1 can's worth of water, with 1 more on the side because you'll need it as things cook. And you're going to put it in the oven for about an hour and 20 minutes. The way I do it is I time it so that every 20 minutes, I open it up, stir things around to make sure that the rice isn't burning to the bottom of the pan, isn't adhering to the sides, and making sure that it doesn't dry out. So you can just pour a little bit of water back in there, mix it in, make sure the rice comes out all wonderfully thick and goopy and tasty. Now, Grandma Jane used to include a whole stick of butter, which made it super rich and also would probably kill you. So I have made the small change of not putting a stick of butter in.
You put 2 sticks in.
No. I also try to go for the low-fat cream of chicken, but that's why you add the chicken stock in to get back that wonderful chickeny flavor.
Ah, yes. Lower fat, more sugar.
Mm-hmm. So after that hour and 20 minutes, take it out, stir it up a bit and let it settle. And what you should have is this wonderful creamy texture to the rice and the perfectly cooked through tender chicken breast. And if you enjoy the flavor of chicken, oh boy, it's nothing but chicken.
Chicken. I like chicken.
It's not too time consuming. It's fairly simple to put together. It's very filling. It's very flavorful. Goes good with just about any green vegetable you want to toss with it. And there you go.
Nice. I'd try it, but I'd be the only one who eats it because it has rice in it.
Really? Jen doesn't eat rice?
No. You'd think because it's practically flavorless that it should be down, but no. It has the wrong flavorless.
Okie dokie.
Yeah, I know. It's weird. Whatever.
It's not Aaliyah's particular favorite, but it's kind of a comfort food.
Well, sure.
It's kind of one we'd have like maybe once a week or so.
It's fine. You can eat rice. I'm not saying you shouldn't. I'll eat rice. I eat rice all the time.
But next time you're up here, I'm going to make it for you.
Okay, good. That's right.
We will feast and let the ladies do whatever they want.
All right. Sounds good. Well, I wish I had a recipe, but I think my spaghetti recipe is about all you're going to get out of me. So
I think it's a valuable recipe. I think I might actually try that next time.
I don't know how well it works outside of our particular cooker, the Ninja cooker that we have. But yeah, give it a shot and see how it works.
We tried a pasta dish in our pressure cooker here, and it was more complicated than I ever want to try again, but maybe I can do something around your neck of the woods-ish.
Yeah. I don't think a pressure cooker would work out too well, but yeah, give it a try in something bigger or something more traditional, I guess.
Well, I mean, I say pressure cooker, but this thing apparently can also make soups and yogurts and has different settings for different types of meat. So it's a beastly thing with lots of buttons and options, and all I've really done with it is make the teriyaki chicken. Although I did make a pretty good meatloaf in there, truth be told.
Oh, yeah? Cool.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact recipe, but basically a whole bunch of meat and breadcrumbs and egg, and you set it up on a little tray inside it so it doesn't get all mushy with fluids. And then you toss it in the oven to finish it off for a couple minutes, I think, just to make sure the inside isn't pink. It was rich because I think there were like 4 eggs in that thing.
Whoa!
Which, next time I'm going to dial back on that.
That's a little excessive.
Yeah, just a bit. But overall, no, it was right tasty.
Cool. Meatloaf's not bad. I don't have it very often, but
it gets a bad rap. A good meatloaf is pretty tasty.
Yeah. You have to have a good meatloaf. That's the thing. That's the thing about foods that people are like, I hate that food. You just haven't had a good one.
Exactly.
Yes. All right. Are we ready to move on, Ian?
I think we are. It's time for an ad within the BumbleKast. If you would like to have your product or charity, cause, whatever you want mentioned on the BumbleKast, just head on over to patreon.com/BumbleKast to look at the options there, or contact us, BumbleKast@yahoo.com. We're very flexible.
Indeed.
Today's ad comes from our good friend Daniel H., and he would like us to plug Child's Play yet again. Gamers often get a bad rap, whether they're wasting their time, being overly hostile, or not bathing for days on end. Those are all lies. All of them. The truth is, you can be a gamer and a giver. Since 2003, Child's Play has raised over $44 million for pediatric hospitals and other child welfare facilities. How can you get on this? Visit childsplaycharity.org and find out more.
Child's Play is a very, very good cause. So I definitely would advise you to head on over there and do that. Give. All right, let's move on into the Q&A. Don't forget, you can hit us up on Twitter @BumbleKast. You can also still use the hashtag. You can also email us at BumbleKast@yahoo.com. Leave a comment down in the YouTube comments below this video, or head on over to Patreon, where you can send us a message or leave a comment with your question in it. Let's get in a priority Q&A. This first one comes from SamCyberCat. Do you have any particular voices in mind when you write the Cosmo characters?
Yes and no. More that I think I have the idea on how I would be the voice director to a voiced cast, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
I know how I would want people reading the lines, not necessarily the exact voices for them.
Okay. So that's it?
Yeah, that's the long and short. I don't have anyone in mind in particular. It's not like, oh yes, I would definitely want this person to voice so-and-so. It's just, I know how, if we were in the studio, I would say, okay, read the line more like this.
Okay.
You know, don't play it that way, play it this way. The character is more like this, less like that.
Ah, okay. Next one comes from Saturn Flicky. Will the avatar customization system from Sonic Forces inform how characters look and dress in the IDW comic?
I would like to think so. I don't have direct control over character design. I just have the bit of input. When I introduce a new character, I like to give the artist an idea of what I would like with it, but I ultimately don't have the final say. Sega does have distinct guidelines on how animal characters should look in the book, so we follow those guidelines. But obviously, Forces is going to follow those guidelines because it's their own game.
Sure.
But yeah, I would imagine that it would be very easy shorthand in the future for character design. If you just need a background extra, play around with the avatar creator for a little bit, and boom, you got it.
There you go. Yep.
Maybe not the soulless, dead-eyed stare that some of them have, but in terms of attire, yes.
Oh, that's a shame. I was hoping you'd have a bunch of really wide-eyed, freaky looking characters in the backgrounds. They're all looking like Tails doll in the background. And the last priority question comes from Eric F. Why did they portray Tails as such a wuss in Forces? He's such a baby in that game. It's like all the self-confidence built up we see throughout the series is ultimately destroyed in Forces. Why?
I don't know. Tails has seemed to be taking more and more of it in a backseat position as games go on. He reached that pinnacle, I guess, in SA2, where he's piloting his own battle mech and fighting the military and storming offshore island prisons and all this. And then in Heroes, he's part of the team. Nothing really stand out, but at least he's there doing stuff. And then you get to Sonic Unleashed, and he's kind of hiding off in the corner, advising more than anything else. He's still flying the tornado, though. You have some dogfighting sections.
Right. And
then you get to Lost World, where it's more commentary and stuff, and then we get to
exposition.
Forces.
Yeah. Oh,
now, with Forces, you can argue that a lot of it stemmed from his trauma of seeing Sonic getting his teeth kicked in by Infinite.
Mm-hmm.
It's implied that during that 6-month period, Tails kind of went off the rails a bit, although we don't really see a lot of that played out or followed up on, but that's kind of Forces in general, I guess.
Yeah, I was going to say, that's kind of just how things go in that game.
So, I don't know. I like the idea of Tails being a more active companion to Sonic.
I agree.
I think at this point he's graduated from a sidekick, and not necessarily to say that he's on the same level as Sonic, because Sonic's always going to be that kind of pinnacle of cool and just ridiculous ability. Mm-hmm. But Tails, I think, is finally coming to his own to be a strong enough supporting character that he doesn't need to be sidelined. He makes up for what Sonic lacks. And I see them more as a synergetic duo and less of a Batman and Robin type of thing,
Yeah, I would agree with that. Maybe they'll
more proactive Tails is what I'm getting at.
Exactly. Maybe they'll make better use of him in a future game. Maybe not. We'll see. Maybe Sonic Mania will be the template that the series goes on from the future with, and then we can just have awesome games like that. with some Tails involvement. Although, Tails will be silent because that game doesn't have voice acting. So that's fine. All right, let's move on to the standard Q&A.
Now, just a reminder, the standard Q&A is first come, first serve. If you've asked your question and it hasn't been answered yet, it will be answered eventually. It's part of the queue. But if you want your question answered sooner, that's why we have the priority Q&A. That guarantees you a faster answer. So I know there's folks that have been getting a little impatient because they're new to the BumbleKast. That's just how we roll. Yeah. So sit tight or check a couple dollars our way. Either or, your question will be answered.
Yeah, mostly first come, first serve. We're doing our best. We get a lot of questions now, actually. It's just been a lot of questions. So I kind of try and do my best, but there's also some that are like time pertinent and just things that are coming up in the community. So I do my best with the questions, but we'll get to yours eventually. This first one comes from SonicBlueRanger. What games are Conan to the IDW Sonic universe? I think you meant canon, but I do like the idea of games being Conan.
I don't know. I think the idea of a Conan canon is kind of terrifying.
Sounds great. We need a Conan canon stat.
Jeez, just load him in and fire out 300 pounds of gristled, muscled, angry barbarian. Come, light the fuse. And if not, then to hell with you. Finally.
So, Ian, is Sonic is Sonic Popcorn Shop canon to the IDW Sonic universe? That's the real question we're asking here.
Only if Conan replaces Eggman.
Okay.
Get back here. Put down the popcorn. I have a giant mallet. I will foil you in your popcorn ways. What do you mean I'm too slow? To hell with you.
You're very good at that. I just say.
Thank you. Nice to know I have a skill to fall back on.
What's funny is he doesn't really get too Arnoldy in Conan because it's one of his earlier movies, but he approaches some of it with some of his lines.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he still got some good quotes in that one. So
anyway, SonicBlueRanger, to get to your question. I have a dedicated timeline of games that I am using for the IDW series. I don't know if and when we'll be able to make that public. Maybe it'll be a feature in the book. Maybe it'll be just something I trot out there when I get approval down the line, just because. But primarily, if it was a Sonic Team game, you can probably assume that it happened for the IDW book.
Okay.
To a certain degree. Stuff like Shadow the Hedgehog with its multiple endings and multiple paths, obviously not every single one of those happened, but the general idea of what's come before should give you an idea of where it's been.
Okay. So what you're saying is that the comics take place, for the most part, at least concurrently with the current games. And not necessarily somewhere in the past.
The comics are directly inspired by game events. Let's put it that way.
Okay. All right, and then the next question comes from Mystery Cup of Joe. Will the Eggman for the IDW comics have a different motive for turning creatures to robots than just, I want to rule the world? I always felt Eggman loved the world, but he feels giving everything a metal shell is the way to protect it. Thoughts?
First thought is be very careful with the way you phrase your questions, folks, because that's basically a fan idea right there. An unsolicited character pitch that I can't touch because it's not mine. And we've said it on the show before, 99% of the fans out there would be just so happy if anything they had showed up in the book in some shape and form. Don't look for compensation, not even for credit. They're just happy to see the light of day. And I appreciate that, and I'm right there with you. It's that 1%, though, that would make it a problem that I have to not accept any kind of fan contributions. Not stories, not characters, not fan art. I mean, if it's fan art of official stuff, that's different. That's cool, and I love it. Like, the absolute truckload of Tangle fan art out there is just... She has a theme song now, Kyle! Somebody wrote Tangle a theme song. Somebody did a bit of animation for it.
Yeah, I saw that.
It's humbling. It's fantastic. I love it.
People already love her, and they don't know anything about her.
Yeah, it's part of what makes it so terrifying is like everyone loves her and they don't know her yet. It's like, please like her when she actually comes out.
Yeah.
Don't do that. Leave the question off of how are you going to be approaching Eggman in IDW? That leaves me open to answer the question and leaves you able to have your own headcanon about it. I think the idea of Eggman looking to protect the world is an interesting take, but not concurrent with the way he's been portrayed in the games.
Yeah, no.
He's ultimately very, very selfish. And whether it's conquer the world or build a theme park or take over everybody's minds, it's all ultimately to serve him. And when people don't comply with that, he makes them. Because why are you not doing what he wants? Obviously, he should get what he wants. Wah, wah, wah. He's really just a big man-child when you get down to it.
Indeed.
That's not saying Eggman can't be sympathetic in some way, but I don't think his world conquest can really be construed as altruistic. Even him fighting the Black Arms, it wasn't because he was out to save the human world. It was because there were aliens getting up in his business.
Right, exactly. He was mostly just trying to protect his own interests, not anyone else's. Yeah.
Which, at the same time, he's not an absolute monster, although he kind of toes that line. I mean, a key point is, I think, in Lost World, when he's absorbing the energy from the planet, he makes a point of saying he doesn't want to destroy the world, he just wants to use its energy for his own benefits.
Right. Because
what's the point of owning a destroyed world? Whereas Zavok is like, nah, you know what? Let's destroy the world below because screw you guys.
Yeah.
So I think that's the key distinction, is Eggman will step over anyone to achieve his goals, but it's ultimately to serve himself, and he's going to not do anything that actively sabotages himself. Yeah. He can be a little short-sighted, Iblis, but he's not going to overtly do anything that's going to directly harm him.
He's always short-sighted in every game. He really doesn't ever really know what he's really getting into until it backfires right in his face. It's pretty great.
Yeah, he blew up the human world in Sonic Unleashed, but he's going to build his theme park, and then everything will be fine.
Yeah, of course. Always got to have a theme park. I mean, if you're an evil villain and you're not building a theme park, what are you doing with your life?
Exactly.
Wily needs to get on that. Has he built a theme park? I can't remember.
No, not really.
I can't remember.
Everything has been the Wily Castles. He stole some amusement robots.
Unless Clown Man's stage is a thing, but that might have just already been an existing carnival that Clown Man just took over. I don't know.
Yeah, Wily's more of a, let's just grab up what's there and make it suit my needs.
Exactly, yeah.
Does it really work? Well, no. Hammer it a bit more. Maybe it'll kill Meg.
Yeah, exactly. All right, next one, and our final question on this episode comes from Boomstorm Media. I was wondering if you could say how big Tangle's role will be in the new comics. Will she be part of the main cast, or will she take more on a supporting role? Either way, I'm really looking forward to the new book and seeing what you do with her.
Thank you so much. I think one of the things that you have to keep in mind with the IDW book is that it is not going to be the same structure as what came before. What came before was a dedicated, extended superhero cast traveling the world, righting wrongs and fighting villains and whatnot. That's not what we're doing with the IDW book. We're doing more of a Sonic-focused book. So, to that degree, I would say Tangle is more of a supporting character. That being said, the sheer amount of love that she has received over the past month has had a huge impact on the way that we're looking at things. And it could affect just how prominent she is. Like, I've got things plotted out for the first year and what her role will be and where she shows up and all that. But, it's still a very, very new book with a ton of potential. nothing is really set in stone, so you could be seeing a whole lot more of her if people want more of her. If she comes out and, heaven forbid, everyone suddenly decides to hate her, then maybe she won't. It's a new book, It's a new approach to Sonic comics. And so there is no real way to just say, yes, this is how it's going to be. This is what we're going to do for Scherzies forever and ever, amen. It's new. We don't really know. We're finding our own way. I have my plans, but as we have learned over these years, plans and Sonic comics don't always mix.
Yeah.
So we'll see. We'll see.
All right. That's going to do it for this Q&A on the BumbleKast, and also, I think, wrap up this episode of the BumbleKast. Anything else we need to get to, Ian, before we head on out?
What we need to do is say thank you to all the wonderful patrons who make this show possible every single time.
Yes, we do.
So, a big shout out to Daniel H., Eric F., Alex P., Saturn Flicky, Scruffy Med, Chris A., Damo, John B., SamCyberCat, Mike B., Connell T., Samuel P., Justin G., Jennifer R., David C., Reverend the Light, Diane W., Lisa M., Mike D., Today's Passenger, Adam T., Silly String, Tucaro, Alex A.Q., Artendi M., Lee H.K., Chevelle, John B., Sin Fritz, A. Double, Taco El Gato Games, John M., Eshivarovich 9X, James K., Bradley C., B. Overthinking Thumbs, Adam B.T., and Ron!
Yay, Ron!
I think that's the worst run of that yet.
It's okay.
Kyle, tell them where they can find you when the show's over.
We can make it sound better in editing. All right. You can find me at KyleJCRB, and you can also find my shows and this show, archived episodes of this show, and many others at kngi.org, where you can also listen to Nitro Game Injection, which is streamed live every Saturday at 7 p.m. Eastern Time at 8bitx.com. You
can find me and everything I'm doing at bumbleking.com. That has my full portfolio as well as all my scheduled con appearances. You can also catch regular updates from me at Twitter at IanFlynnBKC.
And don't forget that also you can ask questions and follow announcements and news about the show at BumbleKast on Twitter. And you can also find our Twitch streams that we try to do as frequently as we can. We've really fallen off of that and need to get back on it over at twitch.tv/BumbleKastGaming.
And you can adorn yourself with love for BumbleKast by going over to the Bumble Store. That's at shop.spreadshirt.com/BumbleStore.
And also, don't forget that we do Patreon-exclusive BumbleKast Gaming live streams every Friday at 10 p.m. Eastern Time, exclusive to patrons at patreon.com/BumbleKast.
One could say that that's kind of become a fuzzy 8 to 10 p.m., but Friday evenings.
We do it. We announce it. So, yes.
That's going to wrap us up for BumbleKast episode 62. Thank you so much for listening. Hope you enjoy the recipes. And we'll see you in 2 weeks for BumbleKast episode 63.
All right. Go cook. Or play a game about cooking even. That's a good just, you can step into that.
Manja, eat. You got so skinny, come on. You know what's this? Patch this in. Hi there, and thanks for listening to the BumbleKast. If you liked our show, be sure to hit the subscribe button and consider supporting us on Patreon. We have some great rewards as well as big plans on how to make the show even better. Also, rate and review our show on iTunes. It gets more folks listening and helps us out, so we definitely appreciate it. Original music composed by Ken Coda Snyder, used with permission. Find more of his music at bc.s3m.us and find the theme song at noisechanradio.bandcamp.com, available as a pay-what-you-want download.
We're done.
All right.
Just in time for this truck to start right underneath me. Vroom.
Well, It's not coming through online yet.
Okay, good.